The Happy Memory Matrix, Building Your Happy Moments Network. You're listening to Episode 5 of On My Way, the mini show sharing with you my happiness insights, and we're on our way to the return of Happy Mind Travel. Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. I'm your host, Pauline. Last week, I asked you a question, are you happy? And we have busted off some myths about happiness together, one of which is happiness equals to the number of positive events in our lives. We already know that. It's not true. We also go behind the scenes of grateful people, how they see and interpret things, especially negative events in their lives, and that they tend to recall more happy memories than unhappy people. So we know that being grateful makes one person more happy. But it's so much more than just writing a gratitude journal and recording pleasant events every day. Now let's get to the mechanism behind and take this to another level, because today we'll explore how memories actually work in happy people, in grateful people's minds. Now if you recall the experiment, the grateful mindset experiment we talked about last week, the experiment goes like this. Participants in this psychological study were first asked to fill in a questionnaire, GRAT, which is Gratitude, Resentment, and Appreciation Tests, to measure their gratitude level, and then they were asked to recall intentionally positive memories and list them all out in 3 minutes. Besides, they were also asked to check boxes at the bottom of the recall sheet if there were negative memories popping out during the process. So if there are 2 negative memories popping out in your head in that period where you should be intentionally recalling positive memories, then check 3 boxes at the bottom of the recall sheet. They're also given a checklist of events and were instructed to indicate the frequency of objective and subjective positive events as well as negative events in their lives. So objective positive event may be a celebration of work promotion. That's objective. Everybody would feel positive about this event, normally and generally. But a subjective positive event may be not everyone would feel happy about that. Maybe you lend a helping hand to another person. Some people would just say, oh, so-so, it's just something normal. And somebody might receive that as a positive event internally, and they feel the calmness and enjoyment in helping others. And last time we talked about one major result of this experiment is that gratitude does help people happy again through recalling happy memories. They recall more pleasant memories, to be specific, than less grateful ones. And another major result that we'll talk about today from the experiment is that gratitude helps transform your negative memories. And it seems that grateful people, happy people, tend to have a different memory mechanism when they're dealing with negative memories. So in the experiment, we found that the impact of negative memories dissipates faster for grateful people than less grateful ones. The happy memories are slower in losing their joyous influence on grateful people. To frame it another way, you can say that the impact of happy memories have a more positive effect on grateful people, and the impact of negative memories, of negative events, have a smaller impact on grateful people than less grateful ones. So for example, for a grateful person, if the happy rating for a positive event now it's 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least happy and 10 being the happiest, it might reduce the happy rating, it might reduce to 7 after 1 year for a grateful person. For a not so grateful person, the happy rating for a positive event might drop from 10 all the way down to 4 over a year. And negative memories work the same way, but just the opposite, in the opposite direction. For example, a negative 10 negative event might become less unpleasant as negative 5 for a grateful person. after 1 year of digesting the event, but it might still be a negative 10 or showing just a small improvement, such as a negative 8 rating for a less grateful person. So the negative event still has a large impact on the less grateful person than for the more grateful person. So once again, we see from this result that it is not about how many bad things have happened to us, but rather how we feel and think about it. And for this, there is a difference even for remembering and recalling those events. There are actually many ways to make us happy and to maintain happiness. Being grateful is one of them. And one tiny tip to feel grateful always is to remember the happiest memory you have and treasure it always. If you have watched or read the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, you would know how reliving the happiest memory in your life, no matter how large or small that memory is to other people, that happiest memory will protect you from depressed mood, from difficult times and situations where you hardly find hope in it. We'll talk more about the research behind this concept. Reliving the happiest memory in you will make you happy later in this episode. But just as Harry relived his happiest memory with his parents to defend against the Dementors, you can remind yourself the happiest moments. It may not be one, it may be a collection of happy memories you have when facing hard times. You can remind yourself when you're facing hard times about your happiest moments in life, because happiness is a perception. It's not so much a reality or a reflection of the reality. So getting back to the experiment we talked about just now, happy people do recall more happy events than unhappy people. Now, this memory bias, at first, we might say that it may be due to more happy events actually happen to those people. And last time we already talked about that, how psychologists have controlled this factor, that the number of happy events have only a small factor, or it doesn't really impact us being happy or not happy at all. So we know that this memory bias is not based on the number of positive events happening to people. Now there's another question. Is this a positive recall bias? That is that happy people remember happy moments better than unhappy people? It seems that their brain or the connection in their brain make them have the happy moments come more easily to their mind, the so-called positive recall bias, than unhappy people. And in dealing with this question, psychologists actually give the same number of positive events for both happy people and the less happy people to remember in another experiment, and it shows that happy and unhappy people do just as well as each other when they are given the same number of positive events to remember. So we know from this experiment that it's not so much of a memory problem. It's not that happy people retrieve happy memories better than less happy folks. So why do happy people recall more happy events than unhappy people? Here comes the interesting part. Psychologists found that there is actually the happy memory matrix existing in our heads. So what is a happy memory matrix? It's simply a positive memory network. So when a pleasant event is recalled, this activates the happy memory matrix, the network. And so more pleasant events come to mind for happy people. And on the other hand, we have the negative memory matrix. More depressed people actually have a more developed negative memory matrix. So when they recall something unpleasant, this activates that matrix, that network, and more unpleasant events come to mind in depressed people. So this explains the looping negative memories and the mood of people with depression. But fortunately, from loads and loads of psychological studies, we know that the ability to sustain positive mood can actually be trained, and the impact is even better than training somebody to reduce their depressed mood. So one way to stay happy is to build your happy memory matrix by linking those memories subconsciously and consciously. And there are two ways to do that. First, I think this is the most popular one. It's to write a gratitude diary. So by writing a gratitude diary, it's not separating each and pleasant event that happened in your life into separate pages, into separate categories. It's more like linking all those memories together, building that positive memory matrix that makes you happy. And by reading your gratitude diary, it will help you link those memories subconsciously. And this is one of the reasons why we need to put these pleasant events into a journal, but not just thinking about it every night, every day, every morning, but to actually write it down. Because when you reflect, not so much reflect, when you read your gratitude diary, you actually are linking those memories subconsciously. You are linking all those pleasant events into a positive memory network. So when accidentally something pleasant happens to you, you might recall a similar pleasant event that you have written in your own gratitude journal. And then you remember yet another pleasant memory that's connected to that pleasant event. So the gratitude diary actually is a physical object that helps you link all those memories together. And as a tool for building your positive memory diary. Another way is to savor happy moments. And we have different techniques in savoring happy moments, different practices. One of them is called positive mental time travel. And it's basically very simple. It's to vividly remember or anticipate positive events. In both cross-sectional and experimental studies, it has been shown that positive mental time travel predicts happiness. So in writing a gratitude diary, you try to record the pleasant events in detail. But by savoring, you actually go back in time in your mind to remember vividly in your mind that what's happening in that moment, in that happy moment. What's the situation like? What's the environment like? Who are the people that's surrounding me at that very moment? Who are the people to share the joy with me at that moment? And this will strengthen your positive memory network. It makes the intensity stronger because it actually lives in your brain when you are savoring those happy moments. When you are doing this positive mental time travel, it's not just writing down a journal, but it's reliving that memory in your head. And in engaging in positive mental time travel, we have this little exercise called reliving your happiest life experience. In a psychological study, some students who are assigned randomly in a think or replay group were asked to think and replay their happiest life experience memory as though they were rewinding a videotape and playing it back. And the results show that those students had significantly higher positive emotion scores at the 4-week follow-up than students who wrote about or analyzed their positive experiences. In other words, after they have done this experiment of thinking and replaying their happiest life experience memory in their head, after they completed that experiment, psychologists waited 4 weeks to follow up their results. And those students who engaged in that reliving happiest life experience exercise experience more positive emotions. And we already know that from previous episodes, happiness consists of 3 components in positive psychology, which is frequent positive emotion, infrequent negative emotion, and a high judgment of life satisfaction. So you see, there are different ways to train your mind interpret and remember things differently. It's so much more than just writing a gratitude journal and believe that something magic will happen for you. And you should definitely not rely on just a single strategy. And the reason is very simple. Variety is the spice of life. I hope in later episodes we can explore more on this concept and topic and the research behind it. Why varieties is the spice of life. For now, remember this strategy and apply that to your life. For example, you can do meditation on Monday and Tuesday and write a gratitude diary for a few days and then meditate for the rest of the week. Just plan what suits you the best. The point here is not to bore yourself to death and feel like it's a chore when doing those exercises. For this week, your episode resource is a short and interesting read about how people could literally be bored to death. Not really directly, but it does have an indirect effect on your health and activities in everyday life. This article pretty much wraps up what I told you just now. Boredom will paralyze your actions. It will dampen your motivation in engaging in healthy life habits. So remember, variety is the spice of life. And I have that article link on our Facebook page at facebook.com/happymindtravel for you to check out. And you can also go to our website at ourhappymindtravel.com to look for more self-help well-being resources. Again, it's a thing to know about the techniques, but it's a completely different level to implement them and make them do the transformation in your life for yourself. I hope you enjoy this episode and the strategies we have explored. So now I gotta go. Enjoy your week, and I'll see you next time on my way to the happiest road. If you're already seeing a medical advisor, counselor, or therapist, discuss this show with them. Always consult a professional when you think your situation needs one, and discuss your concerns with them. If you have any questions or feedback on this show, go ahead and email me at pauline@ourhappymindtravel.com. Happy Mind Travel is now on iTunes, Stitcher, and other platforms. If you want to receive the newest episode every week instantly, then subscribe to this show, or add that to your playlist. You can also subscribe by email on our website. If you have done so, then dig for more treasures and resources on our website, ourhappymindtravel.com. Now give yourself some time to rethink happiness before we travel to another topic next week. Until then, Happy Mind Travelers, take it one day at a time and enjoy to be happy. Love you all, and thanks for listening.